Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles. You are rocking with another edition of Lyles Figure Files. It's a big weekend. AEW All Out is going on Saturday, which means we're going to see some new reveals from Jazzwares with their line. I've got my Grant Morrison Howard Porter JLA shirt, and I'm ready to talk about a whole bunch of cool, exciting new figure reveals and some stuff that's getting into some people's hands right now. So let's take a look at the first one. So yesterday we had the reveal debut of the Todd McFarlane Toys Year 2 Batman figure. This is based off of Batman 423 with Batman and McFarlane drawing him with a super ridiculous, crazy, it's so cool cape. It's got so many folds, tatters. It is defying gravity. There's no way this cape could do it, but who cares? It looks cool. It's got all the bats flying around. We've got a sort of simulation of that Batman logo with the moon in the background, the stark yellow, the Batman holding up the lady from the cliff top. I don't know why he won't just move back a little bit to save her, but it looks cool. It doesn't need to make sense. And to commemorate that figure that McFarlane did, we've got this cool looking figure. And it's got all the crazy gravity defying flowing of that cape. You got a cool little base with a grave site right there. I mean, that's a cool looking figure. It's got a great base. It's got all these tombstones just chilling. Got the back here. And then they also came up with a way so if you actually need to save space on your shelf, because clearly that first version has to go at the top of your display shelf or have one all to himself. That Batman is going to be a super shelf hog. I think it's probably going to be one of those deals you put in the backdrop on your desk where you don't have any other figures. So when your coworkers come by, you can be like, yeah, I'm a Batman fan. But you're not going to have him sharing a lot of space with your collection unless you go this route. With this smaller cloth cape, it's still got some of those tech details from the Detective Comics 1000 figure. You check out the gauntlets, it's still got a little techie paneling and so forth. It does have that classic utility belt with the capsules. I don't know. I like that a little bit more than the pouch version, which has a little bit of everything. Because I think just in a sort of realistic portrayal for a guy that dresses up in a bat and swings around and uses all these cool gadgets, he can figure out what he's grabbing for a lot easier just from feeling a capsule based off of his placement on the center of the utility belt rather than whatever. It's a whole lot to go into. But yeah, I like this cloth cape. This reminds me of the old school superpower figures. Those were my second version of DC figures because I'm so old school that I was collecting Mego figures way back in the day. So I had the Spider-Man, the Superman, Batman, all those figures that Wizard used to make fun of back in the day. So anyway, I like this look. The only thing I don't like about this cloth cape is it lacks the actual cuts of the Batman cape where we got to see where it was kind of going up and down in these arcs and peaks. This one doesn't have it. It looks like they're just on the sides there. That's okay, but I wish that's something that could have implemented as well. I wonder if we can cut it up and kind of do it. But for a $50 figure, I'm not sure if I'm going to be the one to take that risk. So anyway, the other thing that I wish was also changed on this is the boots. You see, they do not have those arcs like that classic Batman look. And that's just something that I wish they could have implemented too, because that's that signature look for Batman during this time period. And just me, but I wish they could have colored in some of the cowl to have that black shadow because that was like the signature look. I get it. That's not the look that it was intended for with the comic. It was just to help it with the shading, but that's that part of that look, and the shading is essential to this looking figure. But that's probably a mess around that I could do. Take a little paint and do that and get that look for. Here's everything. You see that the cape is removable on both parts. I guess that head is easily poppable. So you can just take that off and then swap which either cape you want in that space. The arms are also removable and are only used for the version with the cloth cape. And it also comes with a batarang, so you can throw a super chunky batarang. I wish McFarlane Toys could figure out a better way to implement those batarangs because they're so big. They're like waffles that he's throwing around, and it just is weird. So anyway, this guy is clocking in at $50 right now. He's sold out on Target.com, but I assume he will be back up. This was part of the Target Fall Geek Out collection. They're going to be showing new figures, new reveals every Friday, now through October 3rd. So be on the lookout. This Batman was up for a while considering he was $50, but I think other figures that are going to be more at that $23 price range will probably go by a lot faster and sell out quicker. And as we know from my saga trying to get this WWE Legends 10 Brutus Beefcake figure, it's not always so easy to count on Target.com restocking something, especially if it's an exclusive. So if you want it, make sure you're there on top of Target.com on Fridays, probably around 9 o'clock, because I think that's when they put everything up, unless they're going super funny on us and putting it up at 3 in the morning. So next up, we also got another reveal from McFarlane Toys, and shocking, it's a Batman figure. Who would have thought, who would have imagined that they would reveal a Batman figure? This time it's a 1966 unmasked Adam West portrayal. I like that because, you know, I'm always a big fan of Adam West. That was one of the original icons of live action superheroes right alongside Christopher Reeve. So I have a lot of time for any figures with Adam West, Burt Ward, etc. Linda Carter, you know the drill. And we also see a preview of the McFarlane Toys Batman 1966 Riddler. That scale on him looks really weird. I'm not sure, I don't remember if Riddler was that much taller than Adam West or Batman in the show, but he looks like he's a little bit taller than Batman here. But yeah, he's also available on Target. You can get him now. So that's it for that line. I assume next week we'll see some more figure reveals from McFarlane Toys and maybe another Batman. Who knows? So if you've been out reading online, you've seen that people are now starting to get their Marvel Legends Age of Apocalypse figures. This is a huge thing with people because everyone is grabbing these figures and finding stuff, and it's making me all antsy and like, I want my figures too, darn it. I pre-ordered mine this time from Target, so it's just like that where's it gonna land first, and it looks like I'm striking out. Some people have been getting their Marvel Legion figure, and it's kind of like the tongue twister Marvel Legends Legion figure. He's showing up sooner, but everyone else in the wave is coming out slower for some odd reason. I didn't get Legion. I pre-ordered because I took advantage of one of their big sales. I think it was a spend $100, get $25 off. So I was like all about it. But of course, all I needed to do to get that was get Magneto, Shadowcat, Rogue, Iceman, and Saber Tooth. And I wanted those guys so I could have more members of Magneto's team using that deal. And I figure I'll see Cyclops and I'll see Legion on the shelves. Now, you know Cyclops is my favorite X-Men, so my strategy on this may backfire. And especially since the way I've done this, I will not have a complete Colossus who's a Build-A-Figure, and he's missing both of his legs because Cyclops and Legion have legs. In hindsight, that probably wasn't the best strategy, so I really need to rethink my collecting priorities and my life thoughts on this. Here's another shot of the wave provided by Hellabyte on Reddit. I like the look of Iceman. He was the one figure that I was really excited about, probably the most. I've always liked this look for Iceman. Joe Majora drew him so cool with no mouth. I don't know why that was the missing cool stylistic element for Iceman, but it is. And this figure looks cool. We got Saber Tooth. He's massive. He's like the same size as Bishop, the original Colossus in that 2-pack with Juggernaut. And he's towering over other figures, which is fine. I mean, he was the big, brawny, heavy guy of that team because Colossus and Shadowcat left really early in the Age of Apocalypse storyline to go deal with the Generation X kids and go find Ilyana. And that ended up really bad for Shadowcat and the Gen X kids. And yeah, it ended really bad. So we've got these guys, Legions here. This will be the only time I get Legion. I know a lot of collectors are making fun of his super buff leg day legs, but the shading on the legs and the whole outfit looks cool. I don't really care about Legion. He's not one of those figures. I was like, oh man, I can't believe they botched this part of him. I don't care. He's fine. he gets the job done. He'll be in the back of my Marvel Legends X-Men collection anyway. So now the real question is, should I put him with the regular continuity X-Men or put him with the Age of Apocalypse? Drop me a comment. Let me know which way you're going to go with that guy. Mafex also showed off, or they're releasing, and their new Age of Apocalypse Magneto figure is also out. Our friend, and I have to make sure that I credit these guys because it's not good to just show their pictures and not give them credit. Little Toys Bigger World. He takes, or he or she, I'm not even sure if it's guy or girl, but amazing figures, photography, just fantastic work. Every time I look at this and go, I wish I could shoot figures as well as them. But great job on this Magneto. So if you decide that this Hasbro one's not for me, Mafex did a version, and at least that unmasked portrait looks really cool. The effect pieces look great. They're a little bit different than the traditional swirly deals we get from Marvel Legends, but this guy looks good. So you've got two options with your Age of Apocalypse Magneto. Hopefully we'll get Storm and Banshee soon in that wave 3. They're just a few more figures from the X-Men that we're missing, and I think that if we just focus on those guys, I will be mostly happy with the Age of Apocalypse collection. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Wave 2 and adding to those ranks, because my Blink, Sunfire, Wild Child, and Morph are kind of missing the rest of their team. Also showing up, and these photos are also courtesy of Little Toys Bigger World, are the Marvel or Disney Plus Wave 2. And this is largely focusing on What If. And if you're not watching What If, I really highly strongly recommend it. That show has been amazing. I've really enjoyed every episode. This week we saw the Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme episode, and basically every cast member came through. The only person who wasn't there was Chiwetel Ejiofor, and his character wasn't in the episode, but everyone else, from Benedict Cumberbatch, Tilda Swinton, Rachel McAdams, Benedict Wong, they were all there. So it was really cool. We got that whole live action feel in this cartoon episode, and it was really one of the best ones. I really liked how they keep playing off that concept of one little thing changes and everything shifts, and normally for the worse. And we see here Captain Carter with the Hydra Stomper, who is not part of the wave. He is a deluxe figure that you can get separately, but you are able to achieve that whole Captain Carter taking a ride on Hydra Stomper to go after more Hydras. I definitely want to get these two. They look cool together, and you really only need them. And I guess you could pair Bucky with them as well, so you can get more of that episode. I assume at some point we're going to have to get a young Howard Stark figure, because he's just been so involved in the MCU, from Captain America, the First Avenger, Agent Carter, to even this Captain Carter episode. I said Captain Carter, but I meant Agent Carter, but he was really instrumental in that TV show too. So yeah, I think we need to get him at this point. Maybe we can do a 2-pack with a younger Howard and an older Howard from the John Slattery version. From Iron Man 2 going forward. Here's Childish Star-Lord. Really not a huge change, but I like the gold accents. It kind of teases some of what the Black Panther design would have been if he had more of that Killmonger style outfit. And the purple is a nice touch with the glowing vibranium powered up steel. There are lots of cues from the Black Panther movie with this design that I really like. And then we got Loki and Sylvie. These are definitely more of a live action look. Sylvie is the new figure, of course. Loki came with Wave 1 of Disney Plus. But yeah, she looks good, and I still need to get Loki because he's the last one. Him and Vision are the last 2 figures I need. Here's a Build-A-Figure Watcher. I know a lot of us have gotten that Marvel Select version. I think I still prefer that one. It's more a comic book, of course, so it skews a little bit closer to what I want. But this one I think is interesting in the sense that maybe we could have more watchers, like kind of lurking in the background. So if Marvel Hasbro decided to make this as a standalone figure, maybe people would buy a couple others. I don't know. Maybe that's something they'll do down the pike. But yeah, he looks pretty cool for a Build-A-Figure. He's not super tall, not massive. So if you never got that Marvel Select one, this guy will be a perfectly good stand-in, even though his head's a little bit scrunchy and a little bit more Caden than I would like. Then we also have, courtesy of Iron Ken 3000, the latest wave 2 of the Masters of the Universe Revelation line. And that one is Tila, Man at Arms, Spiker, and Beastman. So we got these guys here. Let's swing that over so you can see more of the figures. And I'm still not sold on these head sculpts. Like Tila and Man at Arms look a little too cartoony for what I mean, clearly the style of the show is a cartoon, but I don't know, their head sculpts look a little soft. Spiker seems really big to me, and he was in there for about 20 seconds, so he's an odd inclusion. I thought we'd see Audra. She's listed for the third wave along with Fisto, who we also have seen for a microsecond, but I don't know. I'm really still on the fence about if I want to get in on this line. Like, I really think the Battle Cat figure looks amazing. He looks great. And everyone else is like, okay, I dig Evelyn. I picked her up because she was the one I was like, well, maybe I want to get into this line. And Moss Man looks cool. But that soft sculpt on both the He-Man and Skeletor head sculpts are making me feel like, do I want to invest in yet another line? And so I've got that really awesome Masters of the Universe Classics line from Mattel. I really dig that. I originally had the Netflix, the Cartoon Network Masters of the Universe 2000 line. Those figures look cool. They just didn't have enough articulation. But the MOTU Classics has everything I want. And I didn't get the Origins line because I was like, I already got the Classics. They're great. These are at least a little bit different in terms of how they appear, but I'm not sold, even though they have really good articulation. So if you've been collecting this Masters of the Universe Revelation line and have thoughts one way or the other, drop a comment. Let me know what you think, because I'm still really, really on the fence with them. And here's my Man at Arms. He looks cool. I like the setup for the outfit and all, but the eyes, I think, are the things that really throw me off here. I think Spiker does look good. He looks cool. So cool and good at the same time. You get cool. And Tila, I like her setup. She's got more articulation than most females. Note the use of the double jointed elbows and biceps swivel. That's nice. Yeah. All right, so like I said, this weekend we've got AEW All Out, and Jazzwares is going to announce more figures coming up. So I'm very much looking forward to that. They have listed a lot of renders of figures. I assume we're going to see a lot of those in figure form, but I also hope we get some announcements of some upcoming figures for their unmatched and unrivaled waves. So I decided, hey, why not put together a wish list? Because that's what we love to do as action figure collectors, right? So number 1, Brian Cage, the Machine. I am very quietly, slowly building and putting together a pretty decent Lucha Underground collection. And Cage is definitely one of those guys who is a highlight on Lucha Underground. I wish there was a way I could make a Ricochet figure into Prince Puma, but I'm not that skilled a customizer. We've got Santos Escobar. So we have King Cueno soon. I mean, we're getting some guys in here, so I can put together. We'll have Killshot, aka Isaiah Swerve Scott. We're getting there, getting closer to getting some of those principal figures. Entire Valkyrie, I assume, will be coming soon. But anyway, for AEW, Cage has been around for too long to have not gotten a figure. I mean, there have been some people like Matt Hardy, FTR, who leapfrogged him, even though he's been in the promotion basically since day one. And he was another one of those guys who had a pretty decent feud with Moxley. We need more guys that Moxley took down for his title reign. So he's number 1 on my list of guys we need to see. Let's continue the theme with Team Taz, and let's get that Ricky Stark figure. I mean, this guy, he's really entertaining. He's funny. He does kind of remind me of somebody who could be over the next decade. We look back like, man, this was the next Rock, and we didn't even notice it back then. But he's really entertaining, and he can go in the ring too. So definitely need him. And while I'm on that track, let's wrap up the 3 wrestling members of Team Taz and get Powerhouse Will Hobbs. I like this guy. AEW doesn't have enough black guys in the roster doing things. Will Hobbs is somebody who at least wins more often than he loses. So I like him. I like his potential. I think he's going to be a star for them, a feature player in 5 more years from now. So definitely want to get a figure of him as he's rocking his orange and black Teen Taz look. Next up, Private Party. I mean, these guys beat the Young Bucks right away. That was their breakout moment. Still haven't gotten figures of them. I would love to see them in more of their original Private Party style, with the tails, the fur collar, jacket, as opposed to the streamlined Hardy Family Office look where they're just they look a little bit more generic. And I know their costumes probably are better in terms of making it simple to make into figures, but this style, this look, it just pops a little bit more to me. So hopefully we'll see them in their original look. Next up, another longtime member of the roster, Colt Cabana. Boom, boom. We need to see this guy. He also helps fill in some more of the Dark Order. And then I can have him paired with my CM Punk from Mattel for some very awkward exchanges. So that'll be fun too. Next up, and final member of my wish list on this one, Christopher Daniels. We have two-thirds of SCU with Scorpio Sky and Kazarian. And I'm hoping we get another Kazarian soon so I can have one with hair. But this guy, Christopher Daniels has been around forever. We did get a really nice figure of him back with Toy Biz did their TNA line. But I would like to see the final version of Christopher Daniels from AEW with the Jazzwares line. So hopefully he's coming up. And I know he's only been there for like 3 weeks now, but I'm hoping that the Jazzwares designers have been working overtime to just give us a render of what CM Punk would look like. I know it's probably too soon to get that wrestling version unless he's been working with them in terms of how he's going to look. If he's just going with the same 3-star trunks and knee pads, shin guards, etc., and the wrist tape. I assume he wouldn't change up his look too much, but in case he does, I'd rather than wait so we can get that wrestling version. I think getting that promo with the t-shirt and pants is fine. It'll be the first CM Punk from Jazzwares, and I don't think in this case people will care too much about getting a non-wrestling attire version. But yeah, hopefully we'll see something CM Punk related, and hopefully with All Out we'll see some surprises. Yes, 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 baby. All right, let's keep it rolling here. We're getting a Star Wars live stream this Wednesday, and I decided I wanted to put together my own wish list of figures I want to see this Wednesday. I'm sure we'll see some of these guys because there's no way around some of these characters. Some are a bit more fringe and out of the loop and maybe not as obvious, so I'll leave it up to you to let me know which ones you think are more likely. Of course, Fennec Shand is got to be right up at the top. She was a big player in The Mandalorian, and if I can get an Agent May figure this way, I will happily buy 2 versions so I can take the head sculpt and then put it on to one of those Maria Hill figures and have Agent May, the Cavalry. But yeah, but she's got to come with the blaster, the helmet, the whole deal. Maybe a removable helmet or maybe a 2-head portrait, one with the helmet on, one without. But either way, we need to get her. That's a no-brainer. Axe Woves to complete the trio of Bo-Katan's crew. His outfit isn't too distinct from a normal Mandalorian, but hopefully we'll get him with the removable helmet. I'm assuming we're going to see him, though, because we've got Casca, we've got Bo-Katan. He's the last one, so let's finish it off. And of course, we've got to get Jedi Luke from The Mandalorian Season 2 finale. If I spoiled that for you, I'm sorry. I apologize profusely, but where in the world have you been all this time? But anyway, Jedi Luke, definitely need to get this guy. And I don't know what they can do with the hood, but I want the hood to go over his head so it can kind of do this thing where we don't know who he is. So every so often when I'm in a crappy mood, I can just pull him out and pull the hood up and down and have him slash away at some super battle droids, which are also rumored the Dark Troopers that Moff Gideon was using to defend his starship. They are rumored to be $30. Army builders for $30 is not the best price. I was at Best Buy the other day and I happened to stumble upon one lone Star Wars Attack the Clones / Phantom Menace battle droid, and it was $20, and I'm like, maybe it was 25. I think it was 25 because I think for 20 I may have bit, even though I amassed a massive army of those battle droids, and when they were in the 3/4 inch scale, and they're so skinny, so slender with their legs that they wilted just when I had them on stands. So I mean, it was terrible because I would look over and another one's leaning over, falling backwards because they didn't have enough material to keep them up. So that's made me a little gun shy on buying the 6-inch versions. But I mean, I kind of need that for my Clone Wars setup, my prequel setup. I need these battle droids. So hopefully we'll get some more. And I would love for those to be on a Pulse exclusive where I can just buy a bunch of them for $15 or $17 and call it a day. Hopefully we'll get that. So now, this is where I'm starting to go a bit rogue here and want to see some of those extended universe because Disney decided to wipe out some of the cooler aspects of the Star Wars universe. Mara Jade. And I want this version because she's Luke's wife. Luke wasn't a monk. He wasn't just sitting around in a cave being sad because his nephew decided to become a Sith. I want her. Maybe we get her both lightsabers so we can have her fighting Luke and then ultimately siding with him. Because, I mean, she was such a cool character. And I'm always down for Heir to the Empire. We've got Grand Admiral Thrawn. So we've got Mara Jade. Why not go with the last one? Joseph. And he's pretty simple in terms of execution. Just guy with a robe. Maybe got a little abs showing. Older head sculpt. Gotta have that flowing beard. If I can get him, I'll be really happy. Because, yeah. Like I said, I'm at the point now where I've forgotten enough of Heir to the Empire that I could reread it and some of the surprises would pop back out like, oh man, I don't remember that. So, yeah, I would love to see those guys. And hopefully we'll see a few of them with this live stream. So like I mentioned earlier, I am wearing my Howard Porter, Grant Morrison, JLA shirt. For those of you who never checked it out, this was one of my all-time favorite comic books. Figured I'd do this every so often. I've got so many t-shirts, got so many figures. Why not do a little information session for you guys? This is the first trade, New World Order. And this was, I mean, JLA had been suffering. They had been kind of in this, what are we doing with these guys? They've gone past the Keith Giffen, J.M. DeMatteis, Kevin Maguire, etc. frame. They had moved Superman over, they moved Wonder Woman over to lead the respective teams. That didn't work. And then the lineups are just kind of shaky. And it was like, what are we doing with these guys? And then DC finally decided, let's make the JLA a priority again. So they put Morrison and Porter on this book. And not surprisingly, it became DC's top selling book. And this is one of the best books to read in the 90s. You see Superman's got his mullet. That wasn't always the case. You see here on the cover here, he's got the short hair. But this pits the team against some new superheroes. I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't seen it. It's well worth checking out and reading it on your own. The next up was American Dreams. You can check out the changes to Superman. And this is when the team starts to get some new members. So I'm going to put links up for these. So if you want to check it out, if you want to read a really good comic run, this Morrison Porter JLA was fantastic. Absolutely one of my favorites. And there's so many big ideas, so many cool concepts. If you want the origin of that whole dark side is deal, this is in that too. We got Injustice Society action. I mean, it is Injustice League. There's so much cool stuff in this run, and I think it runs about maybe 5 or 6 trades. There's a new take on Shaggy Man. Prometheus debuts here. So much cool stuff. And with cool stuff, of course, that means cool figures. So I decided to just grab from my collection and show you all the cool figures that Mattel put together with their DC Classics line that I could incorporate into my Morrison Porterson era JLA. All right, so first off, Superman, of course. They did release a version with the mullet. I did not get that one because I was like, I don't need to get that. But now, of course, I'm thinking maybe I should get this so I can put him with my Justice League. And of course, I did get the electric blue and red just because I'm crazy. But I really like this figure. I think they did such a great job on this. that amazing head sculpt, and the lightning effects that plug in so you don't have to worry about them constantly falling off whenever you move them. But I thought they did just a really cool job on this. I don't have the Morrison specific all black Batman, but I do have this one that's a decent stand in. You see, it doesn't have the oval, but this is something I've seen on so many trips to different Comic Cons, and when I feel like going back to Comic Cons, which will probably be next year, I want to track that down and get that figure because I feel like that's a missing one in my DC Classics setup. This one took a little bit longer to get the hook hand Aquaman. This was part of that 90s reinvention of the character, and I thought that once we finally got him through the subscription, y'all remember that white screen of death era when you got those Mattel figures both from DC and Masters of the Universe. But yeah, they did a really nice job on this, and I think he really turned out well. I got a Wonder Woman. This isn't quite the Morrison style or Porter style, but you know, Wonder Woman works kind of in any collection. And then another figure that we were able to get through that Maddie Collector subscription, the Wally West Flash. This one was such a confusing deal as to why we never got this guy at retail. But when we did, they did a nice job making him a little different from the Barry Allen versions because he is not the bright red and yellow. It's got more of a gold hue to it. There, I think it's better focused now. We got Martian Manhunter, and they did a really great job with this guy. I love this figure. I put him more of my JLA collection, but I didn't need to get multiple versions of Martian Manhunter. And again, I'm kind of feeling like maybe I should get one more to put with these guys and the old school. And for whatever reason, Mattel just decided, we're good. We've gotten every version of this team, every member of this original lineup. But we're not going to do Kyle Rayner. And for whatever reason, they never got around to him. They never did him in the Maddie Collector. He was never available at retail. But the fine folks at DC Direct did get us a version of Kyle. And he fits in pretty well scale-wise with these guys. He is missing, of course, the superior articulation. But he fits in. If you're a museum-style collector like me, he fits in just fine with them. Then, of course, we got the reinforcements. Plastic Man was a SDCC exclusive. I love the different pieces they came with. He has all these removal joints. So he's got a poppable neck. He's got regular legs, but I like the spring, and they actually do spring, which I think is super cool. That's a nice deal. I mean, just whenever you can do that. Then way back in wave 1 with these guys, they did Orion, and he comes with his Astro sled, and that was very cool. They executed it so nice. He doesn't always, the feet don't sit in there as evenly as I would like, but otherwise, I mean, that's cool. This is when they were on, hey, let's show off and let's do the best job we can do with every figure. So he really benefited from that setup. And then you can kind of see the difference because then when we got Big Barda, she was like tiny Barda, and she was just petite and slender, and it was like, why is Wally taller than Big Barda? So yeah, I had actually tried down the DC Direct version to have a better version of Big Barda. I had to sacrifice articulation, but she looks a lot better. And I put that figure with my new gods, so of course I didn't bring her up for this. And this is one of my absolute favorite figures from that DC Classics era. This is steel. I'm not sure if you can see the vac metal on that shield, the S shield. He's got a very long hammer, which I think is great for this. And they just did an awesome job. And those DC Direct figures of the Reign of Superman were exceptional. But I thought the job they did on the Steel, Cyborg Superman, the what we eventually call Eradicator, and Superboy were really, really well done. And that's it for those guys. So we never actually got a Prometheus, which is somebody I really wanted. Shaggy Man, either version would have been very cool to add. There are some other figures, And I am not sure, but I think Mattel actually did, or maybe it was DC Direct, did a Evil Light hologram version of the original JLA. But again, if you're like looking around and like, hey, I want to read some cool DC stuff, I'm kind of not so sure about this Infinite Frontier deal, definitely check out Morrison and Porter's JLA. It was a fun ride and a lot of fun. And if you like this comic to toy spotlight, let me know. I'll do so many more. I've got more t-shirts of some of my favorite runs of comics. And of course, with a massive Marvel Legends and DC collection, I've got plenty of comics and figures to show off like this. So let me know what you think about it. All right, well, that's it. I'm getting hyped. I'm getting ready for All Out because I cannot wait to see who shows up. And if it's just CM Punk, I may be a little bit disappointed, but I think AEW will have a few more surprises, and I cannot wait to see those reveals from Jazzware. So I hope you all have an awesome weekend, an awesome Labor Day. I may be back before then, but if not, take care. Thank you so much for watching. This episode of Lyle's Figure Files has been filed.